appropriately leading in, right? It's titled Becoming an Ally for Black Women. Now, I'm going to need this explained. Let's start off with, what is a black woman ally? What's an ally for black women? How do you define that? G.
How you gonna ask the brother first and his two sisters?
I just want to know what your thought. I need to know what your thought is, and then I would like for them to correct.
All right. Well. I will say a black woman ally is a brother who is aware of the mistreatment or anti-black women sentiment that is going around in our community, online, and things of that nature, and who is, I guess, actively speaking up against it. That's how I would define an ally for our sisters.
Okay. Does that make sense to...
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
All right.
That was easy.
So we can we can move forward with that one, right? Sheen, do you have anything to add to that? You think that's cool?
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like, you know, just in any deed, great or small, you know, helping and supporting black women, either if it's in the form of like intervening in a catcalling fiasco that could possibly go left, or you know, just speaking opinions on like social media, or, you know, and I think any deed, great or small. I think that's important to say too, because not everyone has the notoriety to rally a lot of people behind them. And so I think that, like, yeah, any deed, great or small, shouldn't go unnoticed and unappreciated.
I was also going to add that I don't think it just has to be black men. I think it can be anyone, but I also take issue with the word ally, just because I feel like it's low-key kind of fickle. Like, people can choose when they want to be an ally, and the term sort of dwindles away when it comes time to make those small or great movements, if this is making sense. So
should there be like a stronger word or term used, or like do away with it and literally just be in it together type of thing?
Listen, the second one, I honestly feel like the sort of state of black women as a community with black men I feel like we divide ourselves enough, and I don't personally think that there should be like a very large distinction between like black women allyship and black or whatever ship, and black men allyship or whatever ship. I feel like it should be a coalition of empowerment between black women and black men.
I agree.
And I think we should all be actively trying to advocate on the behalves of both of us, knowing the struggles that we individually face based on our sex, not gender, sex.
I rock with that.
Agreed.
Get out of here with your song
clap. I didn't want to clap all on the mic.
But that's just me.
Nah, I rock with that. That makes sense. You know what I mean? So I feel like I got to change the tone and language a little bit of the rest of this. You know what I mean? So I guess, does a black man, does he have to have like feminist views in order to, I guess, coincide and be in this coalition with black women, you know what I mean, in the struggle and fight against white supremacy? You know, can a black man still be, you know, even if he doesn't completely agree with black men oppressing black women, can he still be one alongside black women fighting and clearly, you know, advocating? And, you know, I'm trying not to use the word ally. But, you know, is that possible? Let me start with our guest, Jess.
Dang. Is it possible for them to be a part of the coalition if they are not identifying themselves as feminists? Is that what you're asking?
If they, like, do they have to have, like, feminist views or values?
That's so funny.
Do they need to agree with, like, the, you know, whole, I guess, black men oppressing black women thing? Is that something that would, like, kick them out of the coalition?
For some people, it might. Right?
Not aligning with that, get them kicked off the bus. like you're not.
Are they voted off the island?
Bus,
you're getting off the 66 right now. Get off the 66.
I mean, definitely, it will probably be conflictual for some people. For me, I don't know if I necessarily align with feminist values totality. So I wouldn't be able to give the best perspective on that. But like, I think that if you acknowledge where you stand in that sort of relationship, so if you're a man and you feel like you know that your behavior is oppressive, then you got to get voted off the island. But like, if you're aware of that and you're acting consciously to sort of negate that, then we can work with you.
Okay. Interesting. Yoshins, you got anything to add to it?
Yeah, I definitely agree with our guest. Like, I definitely don't like align with the views of feminism either, and I don't think that like feminism is the umbrella in which, you know, the views and perspectives that pertain to like Black women's issues like live under, because like not all Black women that have like quote unquote like radicalist views about gender roles and what have you identify as feminist or identify or align themselves with any organization or group at all. I think that you just have to genuinely want the right thing for Black women because you see how they're being mistreated and you see how maybe like on a day-to-day basis or how often whatever you're seeing the issues that affect them, and you empathize with them. And you know, like with what little, you know, like a old coworker of mine was saying how he was like waiting for the bus and this older Black woman was being harassed by like this Black man, and he just came in and he said like, yo, she said to leave her alone, like, and he made sure she got on the bus okay and all of that. So and
that's what men's supposed to do.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, if he's in the realm of it, if he sees it, and you know, feels moved to do something, yeah, he should definitely like.
In the words of my man Fu, defend to protect. You know what I mean?
And I think about how, from what he described, like how that woman must have felt, and she must have felt kind of scared, like waiting for the bus, like, you know, by herself and being approached, and that probably meant more to her than he thought that it did. So, yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to have feminist views. You just have to have like empathy for other people.
Okay. Yo, I'm curious. This is not on here, but like, is there a term or word or ist or whatever that encompasses Black women's values? You know what I mean? Because it's not feminism, right? And then there's Black feminism. You know what I mean? There's all these different groups. I don't know if it's Black feminism, but is there a term or anything that encompasses like Black women's values?
Is that like womanism?
Is it? Yeah.
I definitely like, I don't do terms as much. I'm just like bad shit that's happening specifically to Black women.
Facts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I think that oftentimes, like, I think I said this in the last episode, like where, you know, in society, whenever it's like a community of people that are facing oppression, it's the victims that are coming forward and having to make a case to everyone else and saying like, no, seriously, this is an issue. I talk to my aunts, my sisters, my nieces, they go through the exact same thing. So I think that it doesn't have to be something that's like coined and like defined and that's on Wikipedia in order for it to be a problem. You just need to have only one woman coming forward and saying like, I'm getting harassed daily by so-and-so. I don't feel safe walking down this street and that street. That right there should just be enough to say like, what can I do? What can I not do? You know, before this whole thing came out about Aziz Ansari, I was really like, I was watching this episode of Master and None where he talked about like one of his, I don't know if any of y'all seen Master and None, but he had one episode where a colleague was, a coworker of his who was like an actress was walking home from a bar and she was being followed, and she was talking the following day about the experience of like being followed home and being surprised and shocked to hear that this is a common thing that women go through, like taking the bus by yourself or taking the train by yourself and just being, maybe not just being on edge all the time, but like, but being genuinely uncomfortable, and talking about the things like, well, what can we do? What can we not do to make sure that you feel safe and comfortable?
Now, okay. I agree 1,000 with everything you're saying, and I usually challenge guys because, you know, sometimes when you hear a lot of brothers like victim blame, right? And they go like, oh, well, she should have been walking by herself at that time, or she should have been wearing that outfit and things of that nature. And I go like, yo, it doesn't matter. Anybody puts their hands on any sister, that Negro should get dealt with. Same thing with white men. Now, I'm going to keep it one in. I joke around, but I usually say this. The only people I think twice about is, like, if a white girl was going to assault you, Sheens, right? I'm like, that could mean, for me, life. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, But if it's a brother, a white, anybody, if it's a man, I'm
like
taking that nigga
if a white
head
girl
off
is
clean.
attacking me, like, are you gonna step in?
I might have to pull 911, like,
That's
pull out
fair.
that cell phone, like, yo, we got a Becky out here wilding, you know. But yo, anybody else though, I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? And to me, and I've literally challenged like family members, friends, students, everybody. I've like, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. She could literally walk up in here butt naked. No one has the right to be touching her without, her consent and things of that nature. So I agree everything you're saying. I think where, like, in regards to like the second question, I think the terms that we use cause a lot of division, right? Because I may not necessarily agree with how we define a particular word. However, empathy is key. I can see the pain, the hurt that sisters go through, right? When I'm on the train or the bus or whatever, and I see a guy like being unnecessary, like let's say just being like too disrespectful, too flirtatious, too touchy, whatever, with a sister, I always step in, and I encourage all my brothers to do the very same thing. And that's, to me, I feel like when more brothers step up, I've said this before in a couple of episodes, when more and more like brothers step up, I think then sisters will start to trust brothers again. But and I feel like the reason why black feminism is growing at such a rapid rate is because even though not every brother is out in these streets harassing sisters, catcalling, doing all of that stuff, the brothers that don't do it aren't saying, hey brother, chill out, yo my man, watch your mouth, or yo, fall back. We don't see that enough. And so to me, I'm like, okay, well, do I need to study up on my bell hooks to be an ally, or could I just be like, yo, you know what, G is G, but fuck with a sister in front of me and see what happens? Can I just be that dude and still be like respected by, I guess, my black feminist counterparts?
I read this article, and it was talking about how there's like a lot of elitism in the black community as in regards to different issues that pertain to us. So basically, like, if you meet somebody or you're talking to someone who's not like the most articulate, like that has like a prison record, you don't have to talk to them about the industrial complex, like. So I think that it's literally just a matter of, okay, if it's 11:30 and I'm on a train platform and I'm waiting for a train, do I want some dude talking to me, asking me a bunch of questions, sitting next to me and only me in an empty car train where he can sit next to anybody else, asking me what my name is, making small talk, telling me, oh, you look familiar.
Do I know you?
Do I know you?
No, you
do you do hair? That's another one.
Do you do
It's like common sense.
Right. It's just literally.
Common sense is a common. Remember that.
But then it's also, I remember I was reading this other article about like this couple, this like interracial couple that saw Get Out, and it was like a black woman and her wife is white, and she said, like, when she asked her wife, like, when do you think about racism, and her wife said, I think about racism when I hear about a police shooting on the news. And she said, well, like, I think about racism all the time. All day, every day. And they lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. So it's just also, it's like, one of many things that I always say is, like, you can't help what you don't know. Like, you can't help that. So if it's probably, and I hate to ever categorize or generalize, but I don't know how many times that's in the thought of men, like, wow, she looks really uncomfortable. I definitely would not want some dude talking to me like that, just randomly coming up to me saying that I should smile more. I would definitely feel a way about that.
So that goes right into this next one, actually. Should women be responsible for educating men on their sexist ways and views? Do you think?
I think no. Okay. Because I think even when we talk about like allyship, I don't think that it's like we should, like, I don't mean to say it in the way of like we're knocking down on your door and begging you to join our fight and put your fight to the side, because then it becomes this convoluted argument. I was saying this before we started recording. It's like, if you want to hop on the team, if you want to be on the money team and advocate for us, then that's great. But I don't think that it's my responsibility to educate you. You definitely have a phone in your back pocket. You are aware of all the news that I'm aware of. If you see it enough to be a problem that you feel like, hey, whatever little things I can do, I can step in, then I'm gonna do just that.
Do
but
you think? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Do you think anyone should be responsible for checking anyone? You know what I mean? So like the same way G said, like if he sees a dude acting up, he lets him know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even I don't know. Do you think that that responsibility lies within a person to let someone else know anything? Like not even men, women. Like should women do that with each other with certain issues? Do men do that with each other with certain issues?
Did you mean like women educating men about being an ally, or women educating men on behaviors that are problematic?
Yes, behaviors that are problematic. Do women is that?
I feel like everyone should educate everyone on any injustice, right? Mm-hmm. And so I always tell like my students, be the change that you want to see. Right. And so if you see an injustice but go, I'm tired, or I'm dealing with whatever, so I need self-care, that's cool. But just know that when you was walking down the street and a guy or whoever was harassing you and you seen other people around that chose to ignore it, you're doing the very same thing to somebody else. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So to me, I feel like I always, even if I don't want to do the right thing, right, which is rare, but I go, yo, I have enough people in my life that actually look up to me. And so if I drop the ball, I can never go back and tell them, yo, you know what, you got to do the right thing. They're going to be like, yeah, but remember when blah, 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 remember when this sister did da-da-da and you did nothing? Remember when homeboy, like, slapped the ass and you just, like, walked away? So then now it's like I look like a hypocrite, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be honest, I would feel the same exact way if I seen sisters see like brothers, let's say their own brother or their own uncle or father or whatever, disrespecting a woman, and they know better. They claim to be quote unquote woke, a social justice warrior, feminist, whatever, and they go, well, I'm tired of always bringing stuff up. And it's like, yo, like, to me, injustice never sleeps, so justice shouldn't sleep either. You know, yo, think about it, yo, like, yo, Batman was that dude. He didn't go, yo, Joker broke out of jail again. Goddamn, that nigga was on it. You know what I'm saying? So
he's
I'm
also
like,
fictional.
yo, listen. The white man never sleep, yo.
Along that, I was going to say though, I agree to an extent. Like, I feel like it's like morally right to, that's another conversation. But anyways, going along the lines of what you were saying, G, I think that it definitely is our job to some degree. Like, I have a friend and he's like a very, very close friend, and he'll call other women that he's not so fond of like the B word. And every time that he says it, I'm like, watch your mouth. Now it's almost like it's like a training thing, and I only do it because I actually like this person, and I actually like I have faith that you'll be exceptional, and so it's out of care.
It just takes time.
Yes, out of care. He already knows us now, so like if he does it, he'll be like, girl, or whatever the case is, and I'll be like, bet. But I do think to some degree it is our responsibility, but I also think that people actually have to care about making that change. You can't it's like, what's that saying? You can't lead a horse. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink. Right. And so with that being said, it's our job to maybe not initiate, but like plant that seed, for lack of better words, but you can't force people to open the book or to be conscious of like the actions that they're continuously doing. True. Like, I can correct you once, but if I have to keep correcting you now, somebody else is gonna figure it out for you.
Keep correcting, maybe you're right, but an issue that I see is when, even like say myself, when I ask for like clarity to understand what a sister's going through.
They're like, why don't you already know?
Thank you. Now, you know, although I have a mother, I have a wife, you know, I do think about sexism often. But again, I'm a black man in America. So sometimes I need a reminder, a couple of reminders. Maybe like, you know, maybe the way, because I'm a guy, maybe I process things different from the ladies around me. I'm not saying it's hard, but it probably is difficult. But you have to at least make an honest effort to educate the men around you. If you like, because to me, it's kind of like if you feel threatened, right, by other men, but the men that are literally around you aren't even aware of how you feel when you're around other men. Yo, that's crazy to me. Like, the brothers around you should know. So then dudes go, all right, either we gonna squad up or we go, yo, Sheen, who violated? We gonna go see that nigga. It's either, yo, sit down and we gonna educate you on how to respect women, or we go, we just gotta fuck this nigga up. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be something. Like, hey, it doesn't always have to be violent. It can be educational. But some has to be done. That's like, yo, a violation has occurred. Something gotta be remedied. Yeah, I always go like this. Closed mouths don't get fed, right? If Sheen, let's say, was walking to a crib, yo, I just seen a video actually recently on Facebook. I think it was in like England or something. It was like a Pakistani, or she appeared to be Pakistani. I believe or maybe she was Indian. Who knows? I don't know. But she just came from jogging and she's like walking into an apartment building, and a random black dude like kept slapping her ass and literally says, and they recorded it, and it's like, yo, I just had to touch it. Right?
Yeah.
And then her boyfriend, like on one of the top floors, seen it and then like immediately ran down. But by the time he got downstairs, the guy was already long gone.
Yeah.
But it's like stuff like that. Like, if that was never recorded, or if the man, like her boyfriend upstairs, never seen it, and she never said a word because she's probably like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it to myself because I deal with this every day. The brothers won't know how serious this shit is. Like, I'm being honest with you. I didn't know how real catcalling was until the time I was mad at my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. And I was just like, yo, I'm not even going to stand next to her, yo. And literally 3 motherfuckers try to talk to her. And I was like, damn, niggas is that thirsty. You know what I'm saying? So,
pretty thick. Yeah.
Yo, it's crazy. So it was like, I was like, you know what? Damn. I really didn't know. But to my wife's defense, she actually did tell me. I used to be like, you're bugging, yo. Niggas ain't thirsty like that. You know what I'm saying? But then I learned, like, damn, Negroes ain't shit. So I'm just saying, yo, sisters, be the change you want to see. Every dude that you come across, you be like, do you check these fuck boys out here that be violating our sisters?
One thing that I thought about, like, it was more related not to something happening to me directly or personally, but I always feel a way, like, I always get a little triggered whenever, even though, like, you know, in certain like job environments, they really tell you like I did a job training, and they were like, basically like, don't talk politics, don't talk don't talk about that, like, not saying, like, not trying to control your speech, but it's just like, you know, just try to kind of keep that at a curb.
Say, yo, keep politics and religion for the house.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so, I mean, it can't not in this day and age, like, come up. And so someone mentioned another actor who, you know, was accused of like sexual assault. And so I always feel away because it's never a woman. It's always a guy that's like, you know, some of those are fabricated, you know, some of them are probably, but it's just like, I'm not talking about that right now. I'm not saying that that's not a thing. I'm obviously talking about the women who are coming forward, because this kind of relates back to like what we were talking about, like when you were in response to what you were saying about like closed mouths don't get fed, basically. When I think about like situations where like, women are like the victim, right? And I'm looking at like the example of like these women coming forward with like these like assault, you know, stories. It's like, okay, it's bad enough that they have to recount their story over and over. But then it's like, who was it from the Today Show that you found out he was sexually assaulting a bunch of Matt Lauer from the Today Show?
I heard about that.
They ran back like a old interview where he was interviewing a woman who was like the victim of a sexual assault, and he was just saying like, don't you think that you could have done something to like curb that? Like basically blaming her. So it's just like, think about how truly like shameful that is, right? and you're already recounting all the things in your head that you could have done differently, maybe thinking about like, I shouldn't have been out late. You're blaming yourself enough already. But then it's like you're publicly coming forward with this story. Mad people are not believing you, but then you still, in the midst of all of that, have to educate people. So I think that if we have the energy and the attention and the capacity to, like, definitely we should, you know, communicate as much as possible when we feel hurt, violated, disrespected, or whatever the case. But at the same time, it's like if we don't always have the attention to do it, and we don't always have like the mental strain to do it, that's why like you hear so many times about people who flock to these like suppressive vices of like forgetting. And people, you know, like have to smoke weed or have their like after work drinks or whatever it is.
Right.
So sometimes like mentally it's just draining. Like, okay, sexual assault is basically, so Webster defines it as yada yada.
I'm gonna jump into this one and then I'm gonna go to the other question because that runs right into it. If social justice work is mentally, emotionally exhausting to the point where sisters need a break from educating and identifying, anti-black women behavior, can a black man still be considered an ally? I wonder if we should drop this word after what we said in the beginning. If he too decides to take breaks from checking his brothers, for self-care purposes.
Yes, I definitely consider you to be an ally. I definitely consider you to be a strong ally.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Definitely. Per like conversations that I've had with you like outside of the podcast, I also consider Rome to be like a very strong ally with stories that he's told me with like, you know, the women in his life also, you know. So you all are woke considerably and you see what's going on and you know about internalized. I ain't woke,
I'm real.
You don't subscribe to woke?
Nah.
You know that subscription?
Nah, yo. I don't read enough bell hooks.
Bell hooks. That's funny.
Shout out to her though.
Shout out to bell hooks. But yeah, you all know enough of what's going on, and you both are very like, you know, educated black men that speak your minds and are very vocal, as well as millions of other men out there who are like very astute with these issues, and not just black men too. So I think that even if we have to, you know, clock in our vacation time, I think that y'all could hold it down.
Makes sense.
Have the potential to.
Jessica, I want to start with you on this one actually. What do brothers need to do to show solidarity to sisters?
Love yourself to begin with, because you know you got to see the value in yourself before you can see value in someone else. So let's begin with that. You know, find out who you are, and I feel like once you do that, for me, I feel like once you do that, it's just natural to see the value in the people that look like you as well, and so you're going to want to naturally advocate on the behalf of them. Yeah, I mean, like, I think about, like, my little brother, and, like, I know that my little brother would go to bat for my niece. He'd go to bat for me, even though, like, he's younger than me and stuff like that. And so once you have that mentality and that, I don't know, community-mindedness about you, and you see, like, the threats that are opposed to them are also threats to oppose to you, then it just, like, switches everything. So love yourself. Learn about yourself.
I agree with that. Love yourself.
And to add to that, I agree 1,000 with that, right? Also, brothers, love your mothers.
Crying.
Right? Because I feel like if you could love your mother, then you could learn from her experience. Love your sisters, and you could learn from your actual sister's experience, your aunts, you know, your female cousins. Learn from the women in your life. Talk to them. I feel like because we don't really have a communal mindset in a lot of our communities, right? We go, well, I'm only going to look after mine, right? But when you realize, like, damn, all of these sisters have similar stories, then you kind of go, like, okay, you know what? I wouldn't want somebody doing this to my mom, to my daughter, to my sister. I'm not going to do it to other sisters walking down the street, you know? And once we start, like, looking and viewing each other as family, then everything will change, you know? And so I'm always I'm a realist, but I'm always looking at the bigger picture, right? So it's like, what do we as a community, as a collective, right? So what does the brothers, what we need to do to change the way sisters view us, change the way sisters interact with us, what do we need to do to like make it better where we come together, right? Because, and you know, I have strong opinions about a lot of shit, especially black feminism, right? Because I kind of feel like it causes division. But however, a part of me goes, I can't blame those sisters because they're going that route because it's a reaction to all of the bullshit that they've been dealing with here in America due to like white male patriarchy. So when they see a man like myself, maybe they can't see the difference between a black man and a white man, right? So it's up to me to be understanding of that and go, okay, well, you know, as she's educating me on sexism that goes on in this country, I go, okay, well, I'll educate her on the fact that I'm different from this white man. However, let's build together to uplift each other from this oppression.
And also, like, on the flip side, too, you know, I've, like, in high school and college and even in, like, middle school, like, I've befriended men that have some, like, toxic-ass moms and, like, toxic-ass relationships with their moms, but try to, in those situations, try to, like, disassociate, you know, like, maybe the feelings or patterns with other women that enter in your life or they in your life already. Sometimes I feel like we're kind of doomed to repeat certain patterns, right? But I think that if we can try to, like, sometimes I would say, like, every relationship, new friendship, whatever, I start with someone, I start it on a completely clean slate. Like, sometimes there are little red flags that you see where, like, ooh, okay, like, maybe they're always asking me to borrow money or whatever the case may be, and maybe I need to kind of, like, cut ties here or there. But in terms of, like, how it plays into, like, your relationships with women, but really just trying to, like, start every relationship on a completely clean slate.
Dope. That's what's up. So now let's move on to this one real quick. There's only like 2 more questions. This one should be pretty, well, I don't know. Do you feel some brothers are this is funny to me. Do you feel like some brothers are using allyship as a way to sleep with women?
Yes.
Sheen's gave an immediate
we did it. Remember we did an interview and we were talking about the meme. There's like a meme and it said like when like black men use consciousness to get pussy or whatever.
The finger snappy niggas.
right. Remember,
I don't trust no grown ass man with facial hair, finger snapping and all that shit. Yo, none of y'all sisters should fuck with them niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Finger snappy niggas.
Remember Fonte had a verse about it on the Yo-Yo, and he talked about being in the poetry slams, and it's like, just because you don't curse, it doesn't mean that you're not trying to smash like me. Like just because you don't eat pork, and I'm all about that bacon life. And,
shout out to Fonte.
Yes, shout out to
that
Fonte.
Little Brother album was fire.
It really was. I really miss them. I miss them so much. Oh man,
that's hilarious.
But that's definitely a thing. Definitely.
That's fine. You co-sign that, Jess?
Yeah, I co-sign that. Silly.
Yo, what was that? It's like a meme. It was like documentary and chill. It's a
documentary and chill. I seen that.
I was dying. Like niggas hate shit for real.
Documentary. I seen that shit.
Oh man,
that's hilarious, yo. And the last one, yo, it's funny. I'm trying to remove the word ally because I see what you mean now. I just wanted to share this real quick because like.
Yeah, I think when I hear ally, I think white people.
Well,
I think of people that can't really relate, but they're trying to do something.
It's someone who's outside. I feel like a person who's outside the circle who's like, I am with you. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And we really shouldn't, as you say, like, we're all black people, so it shouldn't be ally. I kind of get that. But for a lack of a better word. If you could...
Jessica, you got that.
Yes, credits to Jessica on that one, yo. I'll give it up after this episode. But if you could create a black woman ally starter pack for black men, what would you include in it? Any books, articles, movies, websites, documentaries, names of experts? Is there anything?
I'm only laughing because I'm thinking about the starter pack meme.
Yes.
So maybe like a Bell Hooks book.
Starter pack meme.
Maybe that
squares, yo.
You know that TCB oil logo where it's like a profile of like a black woman with an afro.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be in the other 2 boxes.
That's funny. Is there anything that like people should? I guess, is there anything that like black men should be like aware of? You know what I mean? To make sure that they don't disalign themselves from black women. Excuse me, I wasn't completely in the mic. Is there anything that we should be aware of? If not, maybe not. We near the end of the episode. I don't know, but I just want to throw it out there. Nah.
I think that, like, I think that there are a lot of men that already do a great job, and going back to what I was saying about, like, whatever deed, like, great or small, that, like, again, like that guy that escorted, like, the girl on the bus, or just like intervening in certain situations, again, like, that probably, like, would make her day. Like, that deed probably does so much more than men think that it does.
I actually got a recommendation. Nah, so
you have a recommendation for black men?
Yeah, as a black man, yeah. All right, so a couple years ago, I think it was like 2015, I participated in violence prevention training. It was like a 3-day training. It was pretty dope, right? And it shows men. It's focused. It's more geared towards, like, college campuses. And when I participated in it, it was with like other educators, nonprofit administrators, high school educators, law enforcement. It had like a number of people that deals with young adults, right? But the type of training it was more like round table presentations. So you're literally learning from not just the facilitators, but you're also learning from the people in the room and the different stories that are being shared. And it's really eye-opening. So I would recommend all brothers, like, partake in a violence prevention training or Title IX training or something. Anything that will get you hip on stuff. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for that suggestion. So, we're going to wrap it up. Jessica, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it. You know what I mean? Definitely gave us some insight. She got me to remove the word allyship when it comes to this stuff, yo. So
she said, you're black. Yo, watch your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I rock with that. So thank you very much. That's the end of the episode. Make sure you go to our website, upanicd.com. Always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Upanic, UPANICD. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And black feminists, yo, Upanic, we love y'all. Please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes. Like, subscribe, and share. All right?
Oh, but specifically them.
It's Upanic. We'll talk to you next week.